if you're brutally honest with yourself right now. You'll admit that you've been sabotaging your own success for years and calling it bad luck. You've quit on yourself more times than you can count, then blamed circumstances, timing, other people, the economy, your upbringing, or 1,000 other things that were never really the problem. The problem has always been the same. You start strong, you fade fast, and you quit completely. You make commitments to yourself that you break before the week is over. You set goals in January that you've forgotten by March. You promise yourself this time will be different, but it never is because you never are. You keep expecting different results from the same undisciplined behavior. But here's what nobody has had the courage to tell you directly. You are capable of extraordinary things, but you'll never achieve them until you become capable of doing ordinary things consistently. Your destiny isn't being determined by your circumstances. It's being determined by what you do today and yesterday and the day before that. You're sitting on a gold mine right now and you don't even know it. Every single day. You wake up with the same 24 hours that built empires, wrote masterpieces, and created fortunes beyond measure. Yet most people will go to their graves with their music still inside them, their dreams unfulfilled, their potential untapped. Not because they lack talent, not because they didn't have opportunities, but because they failed to understand one simple, powerful truth that separates those who achieve extraordinary results from those who live lives of quiet desperation. That truth is this: your life doesn't change in a single moment of inspiration. It changes in the moments you choose to act, day after day after day, on the one thing that matters most, right now, as you're listening to these words. There are people just like you who started with nothing, who had every excuse to quit, who faced obstacles that would make your challenges look small, and yet they succeeded. They built the businesses, they transformed their bodies, they mastered their crafts, they created the financial freedom, they built the relationships, they became the people they always knew they could be. What did they do differently? They made a decision, not just any decision, but the decision that changes everything. They decided to stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop looking for the magic formula. Stop hoping that somehow, someday, things would just get better on their own. They decided to take one specific action every single day, no matter what, no matter how they felt, no matter what obstacles appeared, no matter who doubted them or what circumstances tried to stop them. Let me show you something that will change the way you think about success forever. If you improve just 1% every day for a year, you won't be 1% better, you'll be 37 times better. That's not motivation speaking, that's mathematics. That's the compound effect in action. But here's what most people miss. That same principle works in reverse. If you get 1% worse each day, if you delay, if you procrastinate, if you let yourself slide just a tiny bit, you'll decline nearly down to zero by the end of the year. This is why your daily actions matter more than your yearly goals. This is why what you do today is infinitely more important than what you plan to do tomorrow. You see, most people are living in what I call the someday syndrome. Someday I'll start that business. Someday I'll get in shape. Someday I'll learn that skill. Someday I'll fix that relationship. Someday I'll start saving money. Someday I'll pursue that dream. But someday is not a day of the week. Someday is a disease that will take your dreams to the grave with you. The average person makes the same New Year's resolutions year after year. They set big goals on January 1st. They feel excited for a few days, maybe even a few weeks. Then life happens, they get busy, they get tired, they get discouraged. By February, those goals are forgotten. By December, they're making the same resolutions all over again. This cycle repeats for decades. And then one day they wake up and realize that years have passed and they're no closer to their dreams than when they started, in fact. They might be further away. Why does this happen? Why do so many people fail to achieve what they truly want in life? Is it because they don't know what to do? No. We live in the information age. You can find out how to do almost anything with a simple search. Is it because they don't have the resources? Sometimes, but rarely. Most of what you need to succeed is already within your reach. The real reason people fail is because they try to do too much, too soon, with too little consistency. They want to change everything at once. They want to start the business, lose the weight, build the relationships, master the skills, and transform their entire lives overnight. So they create these elaborate plans with 15 different goals and 47 action steps, and they try to do it all at once. What happens? They get overwhelmed, they burn out, they quit, and then they tell themselves they don't have what it takes. But successful people understand something different. They understand that the path to extraordinary results is through ordinary, consistent action. They understand that you don't need to do everything, you just need to do one thing, the right thing, every single day, without fail, without exception, without negotiation. Think about it this way. What if you decided right now that for the next 90 days, you would take one specific action every single day toward your most important goal? Not 10 actions, not when you feel like it, just one action. Every day, rain or shine, motivated or not, busy or free. What would happen? I'll tell you exactly what would happen in 90 actions toward your goal. That's 90 steps forward. That's 90 deposits in the bank of your future. That's 90 wins. 90 proof points that you are someone who follows through, someone who keeps commitments, someone who does what they say they're going to do. And here's the beautiful part. Those 90 actions don't just add up, they multiply. Because each action makes the next one easier. Each repetition strengthens the neural pathways in your brain. Each completion builds your identity as a person of action. Each day of consistency compounds into something far greater than the sum of its parts. This is how ordinary people create extraordinary lives. Not through dramatic transformations or overnight success, but through the simple, powerful act of doing one thing daily. Now let me explain exactly why this works, because when you understand the principle behind the practice, you'll never doubt it again. Your brain is the most sophisticated machine ever created, but it operates on very simple rules. One of those rules is this: whatever you repeat consistently becomes automatic. When you do something once, it requires enormous mental energy. Your brain has to think through every step, make conscious decisions, fight resistance. But when you do that same thing every day, something remarkable happens. Your brain starts building what neuroscientists call neural pathways. Think of it like this. The first time you walk through a dense forest, you have to push through branches, step over logs, find your way carefully. It's hard work. But if you walk that same path every single day, eventually you create a trail. The grass wears down, the path becomes clear. Soon you can walk it without thinking, without effort, almost automatically. That's exactly what happens in your brain when you repeat an action daily. You're creating mental trails that make the behavior easier and easier until it becomes part of who you are. But here's what separates the successful from everyone else. They understand that consistency beats intensity every single time. Let me give you a real example. There was a carpenter named Gerald who worked in construction for 30 years. He was good at his job, made decent money, but he always dreamed of starting his own custom furniture business. For years he talked about it. He had notebooks full of designs. He had plans. He had excuses. He was too busy. He was too tired after work. He didn't have enough money saved. He'd start next year. One day, Gerald's doctor told him he had high blood pressure and needed to make changes or face serious health consequences. That was his wake-up call. He realized that if he didn't change something now, he never would. But instead of trying to overhaul his entire life, he made one simple commitment. Every single day, no matter what, he would spend 15 minutes on his furniture business. Just 15 minutes. Some days he sketched designs. Some days he researched wood suppliers. Some days he just cleaned his garage workspace. It didn't matter what he did, as long as he did something for 15 minutes. His friends laughed at him. 15 minutes? That's nothing. You can't build a business in 15 minutes a day. But Gerald understood something they didn't. He wasn't trying to build a business in 15 minutes. He was trying to build a habit. He was trying to become the kind of person who takes daily action toward his dreams. Something amazing happened. Those 15 minutes became 20, then 30, then an hour. Not because he forced himself, but because once he started, momentum carried him forward. Within 6 months, he had completed his first piece of custom furniture. Within a year, he had his first paying customer. Within 3 years, he quit his construction job and ran his furniture business full time. What changed for Gerald? Not his circumstances, not his resources, not his knowledge. What changed was his daily behavior. He stopped waiting for the perfect conditions and started creating them, one day at a time. He stopped being busy and started being productive. And that's a crucial distinction you need to understand right now. Being busy is easy. You can fill your entire day with activity and accomplish nothing meaningful. You can check emails, attend meetings, run errands, scroll through social media, and collapse into bed exhausted, feeling like you worked hard but having nothing to show for it. Productive is different. Productive means you moved the needle on what actually matters. It means you took your one most important action, the action that moves you closer to your goal. Most people confuse motion with progress. They think if they're moving, they're getting somewhere. But you can run on a treadmill for hours and never leave the room. You can rearrange the furniture in a sinking ship and still go down with it. What matters is not how much you do, but whether what you do creates results. And the fastest way to create results is to identify the one action that, if done consistently, would make everything else easier or unnecessary. And then do that action every single day. This is where most people's motivation fails them. They start with enthusiasm, they feel inspired, they take massive action for a few days, then the feeling fades, the inspiration disappears, the obstacles appear, and they quit. They think something's wrong with them because they lost motivation. But motivation was never meant to sustain you. Motivation gets you started. Systems keep you going. A system is simply a commitment to a specific action at a specific time, regardless of how you feel. You don't brush your teeth because you feel motivated. You brush them because it's what you do every morning and evening. It's part of your identity. It's a system. The same principle applies to any goal you want to achieve. You don't wait to feel like writing. You write at 6 in the morning every day because that's your system. You don't wait to feel like exercising. You exercise at noon every day because that's your system. You don't wait to feel like making sales calls. You make 10 calls every day at 2 o'clock because that's your system. When you build a system around your one daily action, you remove the decision fatigue, you remove the negotiation, you remove the excuses. You just do it because it's what you do. This is personal responsibility at its highest level. You stop blaming circumstances. You stop waiting for perfect conditions. You stop making excuses about time or energy or resources. You simply decide that no matter what happens in your life, this one thing gets done. And when you make that decision and follow through on it day after day, you transform from someone who has goals into someone who achieves them. So how do you actually do this? How do you identify your one thing and make it stick? Let me walk you through the exact process that has worked for thousands of people and will work for you if you follow it precisely. First, you need to get brutally honest with yourself about what you really want. Not what sounds impressive, not what other people expect from you, not what you think you should want. What do you actually want to change in your life right now? What's the one area where if you made significant progress, everything else would improve? Maybe it's your health, maybe it's your finances, maybe it's your career. Maybe it's a skill you need to master, maybe it's a relationship you need to repair. Whatever it is, write it down, make it specific. Don't write get healthier. Write, lose 30 pounds and have energy throughout the day. Don't write, make more money. Write, increase my income by $3,000 per month. Don't write, better career. Write, get promoted to senior manager or launch my consulting practice. Clarity is power. Vague goals produce vague results. Once you know what you want, ask yourself this critical question. What is the one action that if I did it every single day for the next 90 days would guarantee I move significantly closer to this goal? Not 10 actions, one action. The single most important thing you could do daily, for the person who wants to lose 30 pounds, it might be exercise for 30 minutes. For the person who wants to increase income, it might be reach out to 5 potential clients. For the person who wants to write a book, it might be write 500 words. For the person who wants to repair a relationship, it might be have one meaningful conversation with their spouse. The key is that this action must be completely within your control. You can't control whether you lose weight today, but you can control whether you exercise today. You can't control whether someone buys from you today, but you can control whether you make the calls today. You can't control whether your book becomes a bestseller, but you can control whether you write today. Your one thing must be an action, not an outcome. An action you can take regardless of external circumstances. Now here's where most people make their first mistake. They choose an action that's too big. They decide they're going to exercise for 2 hours every day, or make 50 sales calls, or write 3,000 words. And for the first few days, when motivation is high, they might pull it off. But then life gets in the way. They have a bad day, they get sick, they have an emergency, they miss a day, then they miss another, then they quit entirely because they feel like failures. Don't make that mistake. Start smaller than you think you need to. If you want to exercise, start with 10 minutes. If you want to write, start with 200 words. If you want to make calls, start with 3. Make it so easy that you have no excuse not to do it. Because what you're building initially isn't the skill or the result. You're building the habit. You're building the identity. You're proving to yourself that you're someone who keeps commitments. Once that's established, once the habit is solid, you can increase the intensity, but not before. Let me tell you about a writer named Gregory who understood this perfectly. Gregory worked as an accountant, spent 10 hours a day managing spreadsheets and tax returns. He dreamed of writing a novel, had dreamed about it for 15 years, but never made progress. He'd tried before. He'd set ambitious goals to write 2,000 words every evening after work. He'd last 3 days, maybe a week, then collapse from exhaustion and give up for months. Then Gregory changed his approach. Instead of 2,000 words, he committed to writing just 1 paragraph every single day. 1 paragraph, about 75 words. It took him maybe 5 minutes. Some days he wrote more because once he started, ideas flowed, but his commitment was just 1 paragraph. He could do that even on his worst days. Even when he got home at 9 at night exhausted, even when he was traveling, even when he was sick. 1 paragraph was non-negotiable. After 30 days, Gregory had written 30 paragraphs. After 90 days, he had the outline of his novel complete and 20 pages of solid content. After 6 months, he had 100 pages. After a year, he had a complete first draft. His friends were amazed. How did you find the time? How did you stay motivated? Gregory's answer was simple. I didn't find time. I made it. I didn't stay motivated. I stayed committed. I just wrote 1 paragraph every single day, no matter what. That's the power of micro-commitments. They remove the overwhelm. They eliminate the excuses. They make success inevitable because you're stacking wins day after day after day. Now, let me address what's going to happen when you start this around day 3 or 4. Your brain is going to offer you very compelling reasons why you should skip today. You'll be tired, you'll be busy, you'll tell yourself that one day doesn't matter, you'll promise yourself you'll do twice as much tomorrow. This is the critical moment. This is where 90% of people fail. They negotiate with themselves, they make exceptions, they break the chain. And once you break the chain once, it becomes easier to break it again. Then easier still, until the habit dies completely. You cannot let this happen. No matter what your brain tells you, no matter what circumstances arise, you must do your one thing, even if you do it poorly, even if you only do the minimum, even if it's the last thing you do before bed. You must protect the chain. Here's what happens when you protect that chain, when you honor that commitment to yourself day after day after day. Something shifts inside you. It's not just about the external results, though those will come. It's about who you become in the process. You see every time you do your one thing, especially on the days you don't feel like it. You're casting a vote for the person you want to be. You're telling yourself through your actions that you're reliable, that you're disciplined, that you're someone who follows through. After 21 days of consistent action, the behavior starts to feel more natural. After 60 days, it becomes part of your routine. After 90 days, it becomes part of your identity. You're no longer someone who's trying to exercise. You're someone who exercises. You're no longer someone who wants to write. You're a writer. You're no longer someone hoping to build a business. You're an entrepreneur. The label changes because your daily proof has changed. And here's the beautiful thing that nobody tells you about this process. When you master one area of your life through daily discipline, it creates a ripple effect into every other area. The confidence you build from keeping one commitment spills over into other commitments. The self-respect you develop from honoring your word to yourself changes how you show up in your relationships. The clarity you gain from focused daily action helps you make better decisions in all areas. The energy you generate from making progress becomes fuel for even more progress. Let me tell you about an accountant named Leonard who experienced this transformation firsthand. Leonard was 43 years old, 70 pounds overweight, stressed from his demanding job, disconnected from his wife and kids. He'd tried to fix everything at once before and failed every time, but this time he made one simple commitment. Every morning, before checking his phone, before starting work, before doing anything else, he would do one single push-up, just one. His wife thought he was crazy. One push-up won't change anything, she said. But Leonard wasn't trying to get fit from one push-up. He was trying to become the kind of person who exercises first thing every morning. So he did his one push-up every day and most days after that first push-up. He'd do a few more, then a few more. Within a month, he was doing 20 push-ups every morning. Within 3 months, he'd added other exercises. Within 6 months, he'd lost 30 pounds. But the weight loss wasn't even the most significant change. Because Leonard was starting his day with a win, he had more energy. Because he had more energy, he was more present with his family. Because he was more present, his relationships improved. Because he felt better physically, he performed better at work. Because he performed better at work, he got a promotion. One push-up, one daily action, one commitment that transformed every area of his life. Now, I know what some of you are thinking right now. This all sounds great, but I don't have time. I'm already overwhelmed. I'm already doing too much. I can't possibly add one more thing to my day. Let me be direct with you. That's not true. You have time. You have the same 24 hours that everyone else has. What you don't have is clarity about your priorities. You don't have is the discipline to protect your time. You're spending hours every week on activities that don't move you toward your goals. Social media, television, worrying, complaining, busy work that feels productive but creates no results. The question isn't whether you have time. The question is whether you're willing to make time for what matters most. Because here's the truth that nobody wants to hear. Every day you delay is a day you'll never get back. Every day you make excuses is a day someone else is taking action and getting ahead. Every day you wait for perfect conditions is a day your dreams slip further away. Time is passing whether you act or not. The only question is whether you'll use it or waste it. 5 years from now, you'll arrive. The question is where. Will you be exactly where you are now? Still making the same excuses, still carrying the same regrets, still wishing you'd started? or will you be living the life you designed, one daily action at a time? The choice is entirely yours, but you must choose. And choosing to wait is still a choice. It's choosing to stay where you are. So here's what I want you to do right now. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when conditions are perfect. Right now. Decide on your one thing. What's the single daily action that will move you toward your most important goal? Write it down. Be specific. Then decide exactly when you'll do it every day. Morning is best because you get it done before life interferes, before excuses pile up, before you're too tired. Whenever you choose, make it the same time every day. Turn it into a system. Then make yourself a promise. Promise yourself that for the next 90 days, no matter what happens, you will do this one thing every single day. Write that promise down. Sign it. Date it. This is your commitment contract with yourself. This is your line in the sand. This is the moment everything changes. If you let it. The person you're meant to become is waiting on the other side of this decision. The life you're meant to live is built one day at a time through the power of doing one thing daily. You don't need to figure out the entire path. You just need to take the next step, and then the next, and then the next. Do that for 90 days, and you'll be amazed at where you are. Do it for a year, and you won't recognize your life. Do it for 5 years, and you'll have created a legacy. The power is in your hands. The time is now. Your one thing is waiting. What are you going to do about it?